This is the HaltingWinter Podcast. My name is Seth Winterhalter, your host today. HaltingWinter is a business coaching and consulting company empowering small business owners to break free of the daily grind so that they can get above their business in order to help it grow, to help it achieve exponential growth in their revenue and their profit. That's what we want to do today, is help you get out of the weeds, get off the hamster wheel of the daily grind. We get it. We've all been there, the small business who, especially the owner who's doing everything, whose hands are in everything, and you're feeling the stress, you're feeling the overwhelm. You love your business, you love your customers, but you have to figure out how to make time in a very busy schedule, and not only time to be creative and time to apply new methods to help you grow, to help you scale. And so we want to help do that. We want to come alongside of you, give you the assistance, the encouragement, the systems and frameworks to be able to do that. So today I'm going to talk about something I'm launching here at HaltingWinter in April, and that is what's called the Revenue Accelerator Mastermind. If you're a small business owner making specifically, let's get really tactical here. If you're a small business owner making under $500,000, making under $500,000 in annual revenue, or if your margins are so slim that you're making under $250,000 in gross profit, no matter how much revenue you're making, this I think is for you. And this is why I'm gonna dive into this. Why do I put that number barrier on it? Because most small business owners that are making under $500,000 in annual revenue are in the weeds of their business. They are really sole proprietors, or the people that they're hiring really aren't alleviating. They may be alleviating some massive stress like admin help or employees that come in and do. Right, that they're taking off the, if you run a gutter cleaning company, they're coming in and they're helping clean gutters. If you run a coffee stand, they're the baristas. They're not coming in and helping you in operational tactics. They're not executives. They're not coming in as really skilled to help you grow the business. They're just taking off some of the steam and the pressure from you boiling over and out of control. And so that's what's hard about growing a business, is that you're so stretched. You're stretched so thin in the daily operations that it's hard to take time to get above your business so you can figure out, how do I grow this thing? How do I scale? And sometimes we can get so pigeonholed thinking, if I just do this, or I have to do this. I was talking to a business owner the other day who's very clear on what it's going to take to grow. And I just wanted to push back and be like, that's one way. That's not the only way. But they're so concrete thinking into, no, this is the only way because this is how it's been done. This is how I've seen it done. Again, I get it. What you experience is often, it's like parenting. How many of us were like, there's things about the way I was brought up. There's things that my parents did in their parenting that I'm not going to do. And guess what? When push comes to shove and the kid is rebellious and things happen, life happens, what do you default to? What you know. And so I say that to say this: there is so many ways to grow a business. There are so many lanes. There are so many things you can do. And that's why having really good frameworks that not just help you grow individually, but work in tandem. That's one of the problems I see, is that what will happen is you'll go down I'm going to do it through marketing. But the problem then is your marketing's not attached to your sales process. And so you may be doing a lot of work in one of the 6 primary categories. Your leadership team is all dialed in. You've got all this camaraderie and just forward momentum on the team, but you don't have an audience. You don't have customers. Or you do all this marketing, you get all this audience attention, but you don't do anything with it. You don't close any sales because the primary components of your business aren't connected together. You spend all this time really pouring into one, and here's the temptation. I said this in a previous podcast. If you're a business owner, out of the 6 primary components of the business, 2 of them you're probably pretty good at. That's probably what gave you the confidence to be able to start your business, is you go, I can slay this and this. What you didn't realize is there's more than this and this as a part of a business. And two of those things you're awesome at. Two of them you can do. They're not great. They're not awesome strengths and skill areas for you, but they're not hindering you. If that's all you had to do, if that was, I always say, if those were the two primary things you had to do, you'd probably quit because it wouldn't be stimulating enough. It wouldn't be enjoyable enough to continue. But you can get those done. But there are two. Two are strengths. Two are mediocre. You can do them. Two are you suck at. Let's just be frankly honest. You stink at. You have no. In fact, it's not only that you're not good at them. They are your detriment. They are what's hindering you from growing. They are your massive stress points. They are the things that you just kind of ignore and hope that somebody else will take care of them. But it's on you. And the issue is you're going to be tempted to put a lot of steam into what you're good at while those things drag behind and actually sink the ship. So this is why the Revenue Accelerator Mastermind I'm putting together is, I think, specifically for you. If you're a business owner, you've been in business for at least a year or two, and so you kind of understand, and not to disqualify anyone, I'll talk to anyone about the mastermind because I talk to all candidates to actually see if it's a fit for you. I want to make sure that I can do what I say, and that is I'm going to double your revenue in a year. I believe that for most businesses, specifically small businesses, I using the frameworks that Business Made Simple, Donald Miller and his team have created, and using my experience in 20 plus years of work, I know that for most small businesses, I can double your revenue because you have not thought through systems and structures. You have not implemented working frameworks. You are leaving money on the floor, and we can clean that up and dial you up, get you some extra cash, so that then you can figure out how do we really grow. Doubling your revenue, especially if you're making under $500,000, is not difficult. And again, you got to be careful because you may think, well, I know what that takes. You may know one way, but you don't know always, and there's more than one way. And there are, for instance, now I'm not even going to go into it. This podcast is going to be too long. I want to really talk about who is this for. I want to help you if you're a small business owner right now and you're saying, I don't know. Everyone should be attracted to doubling revenue. Who would be opposed to doubling your revenue? And if you are opposed to that, then that automatically disqualifies you. I'm not interested in helping you, and you're not interested in being a part. So you can tune on to another podcast. But for those who go, yeah, I would like to double my revenue. Okay, well, let's figure out if this is actually for you. Again, this is for the business owner who's been up and running, who's making some decent money, right? You're not running a hobby business. You're running an actual business that's bringing in a profit, but you're overwhelmed in that day-to-day grind. You're trying to figure out a plan to grow and to maximize revenue, but it's hard to find time when the actual day-to-day business is overwhelming. You're starting to feel, man, that burnout pace because you're like, how do I hire? What do I need to do? And that could be part of it, right? How do you use VAs, virtual assistants? How do you use an assistant? How do you build a team? Because that's one of the scariest things. Let's be honest. When your first employee is so scary, especially if they're an employee that you need to empower. For instance, again, back to if you own a service industry, a plumber, gutter cleaner, pressure washer, whatever, right? You're going to have to build out a team to scale eventually. That's not the first thing you need to do, but it's one of the things you need to do eventually. Man, giving your brand and trusting your customers with someone, that's a huge step. And it's like, right, sending your kid off to college. And so there's a lot of pressure there. And so how do we go about that well? How do we make sure that you have a really good hiring process? How do we make sure that you vet people well? How do you make sure that you train them well? Not just in the tactical, this is how you clean a gutter, but this is the values. This is how we serve our customers. These are the things that are driving. And how do you give them to have some ownership in the mission? They're not just a cog in a wheel. They're part of the business. Business isn't just, we're family. I don't know. That's a whole nother podcast on why I think you have to be careful with that weird language, because they're not family. At the end of the day, your family is family. They are part of the business family if you want to draw some clear lines on what that definition means. Because that's different than your family. Business family is different. I just don't, be careful just because you're a small business to use language like that. But you are inviting them into that business culture and being the brand. And that's important to walk through those things. So, you're in one of these spaces where, right, you're trying to figure out hires, you're trying to figure out ways to grow, you're trying to figure out the way without burning out yourself, and that's the issue. How do you stay accountable to the plan? If you even have a plan, how do you create that plan, and how do you stay accountable to actually putting that plan into motion instead of just being in the daily grind of the hamster wheel? So that's kind of who this is for. So any of that resonates with you, like, man, I am feeling stressed and overwhelmed. I do need to figure out a real plan, a real strategy, not just kind of throw things at the wall and see what sticks. I need to create a plan and actually stick with it. If that sounds of interest to you, if you're like, okay, now let's go on. So what is the mastermind? It's 6 months, long. And why is that? It's 6 months because we're going to go after three key things. We're going to go after your leadership. We're going to talk about why you need a crystal clear mission statement. And I'm not talking about some mission statement. We're here to change, the world and make everyone happy. No. I'm talking about clear, like in the next year or two. Again, it comes back to growing the business. What is your mission? What is the destination that you're rowing to? What needs to be accomplished? How does it need to be accomplished? And why does it need to be accomplished? We're going to work on leadership. So you have a clear mission so that everyone, whether it's just you or your entire team, knows this is what we're doing. If it doesn't move the needle of this, then we're not doing it. Helps you say yes, helps you say no. Also, then at 6 months, because not only are we going to work through leadership, and then two other things. We're going to work through your marketing, your messaging. We're going to work through your sales. Are you leaving sales on the floor? Do you have a clear offer statement, a clear call to action so that customers, it's just easy to take next steps. A lot of times I find, especially with small businesses, it is not easy. We put way too much work on the customer. And so we can close up some loops there to make your sales a lot more. We can increase your sales by making the process a lot easier for customers. 6 months, and it's also 6 months because there's going to be some learning, there's going to be some strategy and some planning, but there's also a lot of applying. We need to apply these things and hold each other accountable to actually doing the work to grow the businesses. So you're going to be in this. You're going to have 2 meetings a month, one for really learning and strategy, another one for that action, making sure you're accountable to follow through with what we're putting into place. You're going to have private access to a private online space where we can have resources, where we can have communication. You're going to have private access to coaching. You're going to have online access to the Business Made Simple curriculum, which is all online, which is a huge resource. People pay $500+ a year for access to that. You're going to have, here's the big thing you're going to get in this. And this is where if you're even still listening, 13 minutes in, here's the big thing. You're going to have access to me. And I want to be careful here because I'm not usually like, I'll sell a program all day. When it comes to me, sometimes I have a hard time selling me because it feels very braggadocious. But here's the reality. I have been, in business, I have been in leading organizations for 20 plus years. For 20 years, I have been leading and growing and failing and learning and tasting some success, growing organizations. And so everything I have grown over my life, or everything I have led over the last 20 years has grown. Not all of it has grown into multi-million-dollar businesses or multi-million-dollar organizations, but everything has grown. And why is that? I believe it's because of a couple things. First, because I do make sure that I have a plan. If everything is just something is wired in me to have a vision. I work best when I'm going towards something. When there's clarity there's a picture ahead of me, and let's go, let's accomplish it. Not just let's try things. I think that's one of the ways a lot of people fail is they don't have clarity on where they're going, so anything can fit into it. And that's why you're so distracted. That's why you don't have momentum, and that's why you sputter a lot. And so you need clarity on what are you trying to build, where is it going, what does that look like? And it doesn't have to be all sketched out in perfection, but there needs to be something. There needs to be something. It needs to be more than just a blurry something in the horizon that could be land. It needs to be articulated. So I think that's one of the reasons I've had success. The second is just I have tenacity, right? I'm not afraid to fail. I am afraid of inactivity. I'm afraid of boredom. And so because I want to get after it, and I want to get after things that aren't just being busy, but things that are being actually producing towards the vision that I have, that I think that that's why when you put momentum behind a vision, it just is so empowering, because the fluff falls away and the focus starts, and it compels people to be a part of. People want to be a part of a vision too. People do not want to be a part of things without clarity. People do not want to be a part of things with so much red tape and bureaucracy. I mean, just look, I live in the capital city of Washington State. There's a lot of capital state jobs, and they're pretty depressing for the most part. Why is that? Because it's one of the most bureaucratic, slow-moving, non-vision focused entities, right? Government is just not healthy. I think it could be healthy, could be very healthy if it was streamlined, if it was focused, if it was intentional, but it's not. It's a big bloated machine that's more focused on wasting money than it is on being productive. And sorry if I get on a hobby horse, but it's just not. If it ran like a lot of small businesses, which have to be, right, forced to be cost productive, forced to be focused, it would probably be better. And so I think that's one of the things is, again, back to why you're getting someone who has figured it out. And not that I have all wisdom, all knowledge, but I do have some. And I think one of the keys for me, and here's where, again, selling me, it's not, I have some wisdom, I have some insights, I have a pretty good network. I think that's the other thing. When you get me, and if you know me, you know this, I'm humble enough to say I don't know everything, but I'm also, I think I'm skilled enough to say, but I can figure it out, because I do have a large network, and I don't mind asking other people for help, saying, hey, this is an issue. Let's dial this in. Let's figure this out. So I love meeting people. I love learning. And so I have a lot of people close who we can reach out to, and we can figure it out. And so I think that's a win. Here's the big win. I am tenacious. Like if I say I'm going to take on 10 small business owners and I'm going to double your revenue, you better believe that if I take you on, that I feel confident about doing that. I'm not going to allow anyone into the group. I have other masterminds that I'm going to run that aren't as, right, result driven. I have one that I'm going to start in May that's just going to be for a small business who just needs to reset all 6 of your primary areas. Let's figure out leadership, marketing, sales, overhead and operations, your cash flow, right? Let's dial in the whole plane of your business. And that may be at a slower pace. That may be just helping you really understand, because a lot of business owners don't understand all the components of business. They're just winging it. They're just trying to stay afloat. And that may be that's going to be a great mastermind for some small business owners. But this one is a little different. The Revenue Accelerator Mastermind is people who are probably a little bit crazy like I am. They're driven people. They want to succeed. They want to get after it. They want to grow their business. They're not satisfied with where their business is. They want to see growth. They want to be more impactful, want to be more effective. And if I say yes to you, if I think I can double your revenue and invite you in, then you better know that we're going to do that. Like, I am going to be all about making sure that happens. And so that's what you get. I'm not just, hey, well, here's this program, and the hope is to double your revenue, and you'll show up, and I'll do some teaching, and I'll do some talking, and it'll be all about, my wisdom, and then you get to just do with that whatever you want. No. That's not what this is. This is, yes, there's going to be some teaching based on some of the things that, and that teaching is very applicable. Like, it's not like, hey, let's show up and listen to me yammer. It's, let's talk about this. Do you have this? If not, let's figure out how to make this, because this is a key in making sure we can double revenue. You need this to grow. So let's figure it out. And none of these things are magic. Like, you're going to be like, yes, I know I've needed this and I don't have this, or I kind of have this, but it's not quite that clear. Let's get clarity on it, right? That's what a mastermind is. And the beauty of a mastermind, in fact, I'm going to do a podcast on this later in the week on 9 benefits of a mastermind. And because some of you have never been in a mastermind, some of you, and most small business owners are trying to do it by themselves. It can be a very lonely world. And I get this. I was an orchestral conductor. Orchestral conducting is different than orchestral playing. It's one thing to be a musician. Musicians have a lot of camaraderie. You have camaraderie in your section, right? The violins kind of have camaraderie together. You have camaraderie with all the musicians because you're all kind of in the same reality. A conductor is not. The conductor has to lead. The conductor has to make decisions, who's hired, who's fired. So it's a very lonely, it can be a very lonely place when you're also the go-between the administrative team, the executive director, and the musicians, and that can be testy. And you've seen that with a lot of orchestras and budget woes over the last decade, and how the conductors are kind of in the middle trying to support, budget realities with the executive director, but also support the musicians and wanting musicians to be paid a livable wage. It's a hard place, and that's small business owners. That's you. You're in this hard place where you have to wear two hats, especially when you have employees. You want to love and support your employees and care for them, but you also have to care about the bottom line of the business. And here's the truth. A lot of people don't know what the heck is going on. They think every small business owner is a millionaire. If you own a business, you're rich and wealthy. Again, people are idiots. They just don't know. They do not know what it takes to run a business. They have no idea the back end costs of running a business. And they have no idea, especially when you're a small business owner that is running the business in the day to day, they have no idea. They see you working, but they're like, they probably have a summer house and, just living the life of ease. They have no idea when you go home that it's not turned off, that you're now working for another 4 hours at home trying to figure out the back end of the business, trying to get payroll, trying to get budgeting, trying to get all these things dialed in. People just don't know. And it's not your job to educate them. It's your job to lead them. And so I get it. It can be very lonely. And that's why a mastermind, not just individual coaching, but a mastermind, when you have camaraderie, you have some empathy with each other because you get it. And you also are learning together, man, this is powerful. And so that's where I just want to say, there's a lot I could say about this. The podcast is already too long, but I want you to, I'll just simplify here. The Revenue Accelerator Mastermind is for you, the business owner who wants to grow. You want to grow your business. You're not satisfied with where it is. You're a little confused, or maybe you have a general plan, but you just are unable to implement it. This is going to be the program where, again, the learning is, we're not going through you got to do it this way. It's like, do you have a mission? Okay, you have to have a mission. That's the plan. Where do you want to be, and how are you going to get there? What's the message? How are you speaking this plan, right? You can't make money just by praying it in. You have to, how are you telling customers, an audience, so that they can become customers? So how are you marketing? How are you getting your message out? And how are you closing sales? If you can't do those three things, and if you're not doing those three things, and if those three things aren't all tied together, which most of them aren't for businesses, then you're not going to grow. You're going to grow by osmosis. And the problem is then you're going to think you're doing well, and the bottom's going to fall out. And then, because whatever that fake growth is going to be gone, and then you're going to be in a world of trouble because you're going to probably overextend yourself on the money that you've spent thinking that you're awesome. That's another podcast. So many things in my mind today. So I just want to tell you, I care about small businesses, and if you're a small business owner specifically that's driven to grow and you just need help getting there, I think the Revenue Accelerator Mastermind is for you. Go in the show notes below, or you can go to haltingwinter.com/mastermind. haltingwinter.com/mastermind. Halting, Halting. It's not haul, like HAUL. We're not halting. We're not hauling winter. We're halting it. Halting, HALTING. Halting winter, right? We're getting out of the hibernation. We're getting out of the frozen. We're getting it. We're thawing out. It's springtime. It's going to be summer. It's going to be harvest. We're going to reap the harvest of our work. So haltingwinter.com/mastermind. Check it out. I want this thing full here. I want to get on the phone with you and get you squared away to see if this is actually be the fit for you to achieve what we want to achieve together, doubling that revenue. And so I want to get this squared away here in the next few weeks. So if that's you, do not delay on it. Jump on it right now and just hop on the phone. Let's chat and let's see if this is a good fit. Okay, Revenue Accelerator Mastermind, business owners, doubling your revenue. Let's get after it. Let's make some money, and let's see your life and the life of your community changed through you by your impact. Until next time.